effect technology has on our lives is endless. Its impact is far-reaching and can be both positive and negative. One example of this impact can be seen in how technology shapes individuals' personalities and traits. The technology I would like to look at are the social networking sites like YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. These sites are creating traits in their users that are prominent in many diagnosable psychological disorders. Specifically, I feel like these sites are breeding individuals with characteristics of narcissism, psychopathy, dissociative identity disorder, voyeurism, and exhibitionism. I am not saying that I think these sites are creating mental illness, but they are encouraging characteristics that define these disorders and therefore creating psychologically dysfunctional societies. According to David Duzo and Philip Firestone, patients who are narcissistic are grandiose and consider themselves to have unique and outstanding abilities, and they have an exaggerated sense of self-importance. Egocentrism is described as a hallmark of narcissism, with individuals feeling and acting like everything they do and say holds great importance. This type of behavior can be seen in people's Twitters, Facebooks, and YouTube videos. A trend has begun where everyone feels compelled to keep the internet up to date about every minute detail of their lives. In a study conducted by Sora Medizia from York University, people aged 18 to 25 were asked about their Facebook habits. The study showed a positive correlation between the amount of time individuals checked their Facebook per day and scores on a test used to measure narcissism. The study found individuals used written posts and pictures selection to monitor their appearance. In another study conducted at Rutgers University, found 80% of Twitter users are me-formers, meaning their posts are centered around their thoughts, feelings, emotions, everyday activities, and social lives, opposed to those who post information and knowledge. These individuals also tend to have less followers and less interactions with others in general. The narcissistic behavior is now so embedded within its users, most are even unaware of how irrelevant and unimportant these posts are. According to David Dusso and Philip Firestone, psychopaths are a distinct subgroup of offenders best described by their unique interpersonal and affective disposition. They are egocentric, deceptive, callous, manipulative individuals who lack remorse and emotional depth. What I would like to look at is the callous trait of psychopathy. Dictionary.com defines callous as emotionally hardened and unfeeling. This behavior can be seen in the exploitation of individuals on YouTube. There are thousands of videos of people doing embarrassing things on YouTube that other people put up for their own personal gain. As Dr. Strangelove discusses in his book, Watching YouTube, more and more video cameras are being used to capture embarrassing and private moments of friends and family, and then these videos are being placed on YouTube with little to no regard of how the star of the video may feel. Strangelove also points out how permanent and damaging these videos can be for those who fall victim to someone else's callous behavior. This phenomenon is not restricted to YouTube, but extends to all sites with the ability to publicize photos, videos, or really any damaging information. There have been numerous stories circulating around the internet of individuals getting revenge via Facebook by posting embarrassing photos or information about someone else. For example, there was a guy who posted his sister's hookup list on Facebook to get back at her for telling his parents he had beer in his room. This type of behavior is very typical of psychopathy and shows how some people can use these sites for personal gain and a blatant disregard for other people's feelings. The consequence of these actions, unfortunately, mainly lie with the individual being exploited, but those who post this information don't necessarily get away scot-free. Through their behavior, they announce to the world that they're horrible, unfeeling people, but I guess they would actually have to feel something to care about that. According to David Dusso and Philip Firestone, dissociative identity disorder is defined as an individual with two or more distinct personality states that regularly take control of the patient's behavior. What I have witnessed are people who have an online personality and an in-person personality. This can be seen in numerous forms. Their Facebook pictures may look nothing like themselves, their tweets may sound intelligent, witty, or exciting when you know them to be the very opposite of that, or they may just be super chatty while online, whereas you couldn't get them to say 3 consecutive sentences to you in person. While I do understand wanting to put your best foot forward and manipulating your social networking site is an easy way to do this, it feels fake to me. As Dr. Strangelove discusses in watching YouTube, people can feel a sense of power being in front of the camera or knowing that they are able to construct the person they would like the world to see. According to Steve Beebe, Susan Beebe, Mark Remen, and Terry Grunick, people are more inclined to share more personal information online than in person. They also talk about how people are also more likely to be less truthful about themselves online in comparison to how they act in person. This ability to manipulate your appearance online allows people to live 2 lives, one online and one in real space. According to David Dulso and Philip Firestone, voyeurism is described as an individual who experiences recurrent and intense sexually arousing urges/fantasies or behaviors involving the observation of unsuspecting individuals. They also describe exhibitionism as an individual exposing their genitals to an unsuspecting stranger. While I don't believe social networking sites increase sexual offenses, I do think people gain a certain type of pleasure from watching others and exposing themselves. According to Stephen Chukaba, Facebook gives the casual voyeur the ability to anonymously sit and watch people broadcast their lives to the world. According to a report released by computer security firm Palo Alto Networks, 88% of the time the workers in the study spent on Facebook at work consisted of lurking other people. Just as you couldn't have yin without yang, you couldn't have voyeurism without exhibitionism. This idea can be connected back to narcissism and certain people's obsessions with documenting their whole life. But on top of people feeling their life is so important everyone must care, people also gain pleasure from exposing their lives. This pleasure can come from numerous acts. For example, posting borderline pornographic photos or videos, or posting controversial statuses or videos. Part of the pleasure derived from this stems from the attention received from others, but there is also something exciting about exposing yourself. While this pleasure doesn't necessarily come from a place of sexuality, there is still something distinctly exhilarating about this kind of exposure. In a study conducted by Marzio Mari, Petro Sisaposo, Anna Balagara, Marco Vitamera, and Giuseppe Riva, found Facebook could evoke a psychophysiological state characterized by high positive valence and high arousal, meaning the interactions with Facebook can cause a positive affect for the user, showing that social networking sites do in fact generate a type of pleasure. The ability to stalk others and expose yourself on social networking sites are creating a generation that gains pleasure from these activities, which is a completely new phenomenon. What did we learn from this video? Well, we learned that social networking sites are creating a psychologically dysfunctional society where mental illness, diagnosable mental illnesses, some of the more dominant traits of these mental illnesses are being encouraged through these social networking sites. The 4 mental illnesses that I discussed were narcissism, psychopathy, dissociative identity disorder, voyeurism, and exhibitionism. Well, 5. And why is it important that we recognize this? Because social networking sites are a fairly new technology, it's important to understand how these technologies impact society, whether it be positive or negative, and understand that influence. As we know, the media is already like a huge influence on society. So this is just one more aspect of how it does influence the masses. And it's important to understand that for yourself, to be media literate,